Mr. Keenam sir. Now I invite Srimati Uzramma to speak a few words for this inaugural session. She'll speak in detail later again in the technical sessions.
Happy New Year to everybody. And I expect that this year will be a year of industrial revolution. And it is up to the artisanal community to promote this industrial revolution. And it is the job of people like Prasanna to aid in that process. So what we want, what we are looking for as a result of this revolution is a democratic, equitable, and sustainable future for Indian industrialization. Today, the system that we follow was actually put in place through violence, and it is upheld through violence and exploitation. And as Prasanna has very clearly set out, this is not a process that we would like to follow, and it is not a process that is healthy for society. I would just like to remind you that the Industrial Revolution, which began this process, actually began with violence. It very violently displaced the Indian textile industry. That was the first machines of the Industrial Revolution, and it continued to do violence. It was replaced by a cotton textile industry that was based on slave labor in America. This is the system that we follow today, and it continues its violent ways. For example, a company that was run by the government has recently been taken over by a private entity, and they moved their factory from Baroda to Jamnagar. And all the people who were working in that factory in Baroda were just given the option to move to Jamnagar or to leave. And they all came from the villages all round. But they had no other option either to lose their jobs or to move to Jamnagar. This is the kind of way in which the system operates today. And as Prasanna told you, all the profits go into the pockets of a few people. And we have one of the greatest differences between the rich and the poor in the world. India has one of the greatest differences. And the other thing is that the technology that was instituted by the Industrial Revolution and the technology which is in place today actually serves the interests only of those few people who own the machinery. It does not serve the interests of the people who buy the product, and it does not serve the interests of the people who work with their hands on those machines. And these are all the things that we have to do away with, and we have to replace it by a better system. So I wish you all and the working people of India a revolutionary new year. Let us make 2018 the beginning of this new industrial revolution. Let us take the duty of the artisan industries of India to reconstruct the economic life of the people from the ground up and build it up in the spirit of socialism. Thank you.
Thank you, Uzramma, for those wonderful words. Now I call Shri M.S. Satyu to speak a couple of words. He'll again speak in detail in the technical sessions.
Namaskara. Actually, I'm supposed to speak on more on aesthetics, performing arts, and handmade. It's quite a difficult kind of combination on which I will talk. But I will reserve that few words for a later session when I am supposed to speak. Now, we're talking about, we have come to an era of taxation much more than anything else. In the name of a single window taxation, everything under the sun is taxed. So for example, theatre is taxed. Why should theatre or culture or education be taxed? It should be made free of all taxes. It's not just the handmade which makes, because even theatre is handmade. All performing arts are handmade. No doubt there is some amount of technology that has come in, but that doesn't deprive the very source, you see. So, and that source is being taxed in the name of GST. Recently, I performed at the Ranga Shankara couple of shows on a Saturday, and we had half full houses, 2 houses, but all the money that was collected that day went towards Ranga Shankara and not to the performing people. It went as their rent. On the rent there is a certain percentage of 18% of tax, which is GST. And if you keep a ticket over 50 rupees, then 10% more is added to it. Even 4 days they sell advance booking, window. They have an advance booking window, and they charge 50 rupees per day, and even those 200 rupees for 4 days has been charged GST. So this has become a very unthoughtworthy of the government. They have never thought about all these things, and the theatre as such comes under not as a cultural movement, but it is coming under the Kalyana Mandapas, the marriage halls. So the marriage halls are taxed, true, because the marriage hall charges lakhs of rupees, and that is being taxed. But the same theory is used, and GST is put on theatre, and I think it's high time that we refuse to pay this. But what they have done, very tricky it is. You can't get the theatre without paying in advance the GST. So a movement has to start from now on by all the theatre people and the people, the artists, musicians, the dancers and everyone to come together and start a movement against this policy of GST. And I'll later on talk about my subject, which is on aesthetics. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. Shri Nilkant Mama will speak a little later in the technical sessions. So now I call upon Shri Irrfan Khan to say his introductory words, and followed by a question-answer session from the audience. So I think we have time up till 11 at least for the question-answer session.
Good morning, Bangalore. Good morning. Thank you very much, Mr. Sir, for giving me this opportunity to be here. I don't know, I'm not really comfortable with speaking now. Just speaking, I'm much more comfortable in discussing and interacting. So I would rather read a few lines which I have, which I would like to share with you. That I'm an actor, and my product is also like handmade, because I act from my body, my hands, my feet, my soul, my heart. So in this sense, I'm all handmaking people are my brothers and sisters. And though I am paid much more value for my product, it is very sad that they struggle to survive even for their existence. And this machine making system has proved to be completely hopeless. And I was born in India in a Muslim family, so technically I'm called Indian Muslim. Though I'm on a stage where I could choose whatever from any religion I could practice. I feel that free within myself. Anyway, so most of the Muslims in this country are artisans. Unlike me, they're poor. And how beautiful it would be to look at this country as being made entirely of hand-making people. And how beautiful it would be to make this country kind and contented with a hand-making system of production. And how beautiful it would be to get the right price, the fair price for the handmade. Thank you. And I have so much to speak, but I'll reserve these things for discussion. Thank you very much.